watching those videos, we see that there's many variations, and some of those videos were quite enjoyable, weren't they? Okay. Another question that I want to answer for you is, how is it celebrated, and who celebrates it? Many young girls and young women celebrate Chinese Lovers' Day, but how do they do that? They will go to the temple and pray to Jinyu for an excellent sewing skill. That skill of sewing is seen as a quality of a good wife. And they also wish for someone to be a good husband for them. There are other traditional activities, such as a sewing contest, which encourages that skill and that quality of being a good wife. Girls may also gather toiletries. Girls may sew and prepare fruit to worship Jinyu. They may also give offerings to Jinyu, including fruit, flowers, tea, or face powder. Actually, also newly married women may worship Jinyu and Yulang, and they may bid farewell, and this means that their marriage will be good. Something that women do in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, is they may light lanterns and put them in Love River. And also, people romantically gaze up at the stars of Vega and Altar. And here's the first picture I showed you, or one of the first pictures I showed you, of Altar and Vega and Deneb. Altar being the star that is symbolized by Yulang in the legend. Vega is symbolized by Jinyu, and Deneb is the bridge that brings those two stars together. These are two news clips, and they report what people do, how people celebrate Chinese Lovers' Day. So now let's look at what people today, how they celebrate Chinese Lovers' Day.
On many people's calendar here, Tuesday is likely to be marked with a big red heart as the Qixi Day of Romance arrives. And this traditional festival falls on the 7th day of the 7th month on the Chinese lunar calendar, a time when couples across the country celebrate their love for each other. Now let's take a look at how the day came about and more.
The most popular legend of Qixi is without a doubt that of Niulang and Zhinyu. As the story goes, a cowherd Niulang met Zhinyu, a weaver maid who was also the seventh daughter of the celestial Jade Emperor. It was love at first sight, and they were soon married. When the Queen of Heaven discovered her daughter was married to a mortal on earth, she forced Zhinyu back to the skies. Niulang, carrying his children, put on a pair of magic shoes and set off on a chase after the love of his life. The queen, enraged by Niulang's pursuit, took her hairpin and slashed it across the sky, creating the Milky Way that separated the couple forever. But all was not lost. Moved by their love and devotion, thousands of magpies form a bridge across the Milky Way to reunite the couple. This, however, was only possible once a year on the 7th night of the 7th month, and is how Qixi came to be. In astrology, the constellations Vega and Altair, representing the lovers, are in fact 16 light years away, meaning that even if Niulang could call out to the goddess Weaver, it would take 16 years for her to hear her husband's voice. But that doesn't stop people from gazing at the night sky to spot the two stars shining on opposite sides of the Milky Way and pray for everlasting love like Niulang and Zhinyu's. The festival can be traced back to the Han Dynasty. Back then, it was not just a special day for couples, but also for single girls. On the eve of Qixi, unmarried girls would pray to Zhinyu for wisdom and dexterity, hoping to find their other half. Nowadays, the festival is more commercialized than ever, as females remain the center of attention. Bouquet of roses, romantic candlelit dinners are now the norm. Men would need to add an extra touch of magic like Niulang to catch a girl's heart. Shenli, CCTV.
天是七夕. Today is Chinese Valentine's Day.
Wait a second, Rachel. Before we talk about the modern day holiday, or 中国情人节, let's learn the history of this festival. 七夕节, or the Double Seven Festival, is on the 7th day of the 7th lunar month. You can see the Milky Way up in the sky, and on each side is a star. One star is Niu Lang, and the other is Zhi Nu. Niu Lang was a cow herder who lived alone with his cows. One day, a fairy named Zhi Nu, or the Weaver Maid, came down from the skies, and the two fell in love. They were secretly married and had 2 children. However, the Jade Emperor was upset by this, as marriage between a mortal and a fairy was strictly forbidden. And so, he sent the Empress down to Earth to bring Zhi Nu back up. Luckily for Niu Lang, one of his cows was a former god, and the cow instructed him to turn its hide into shoes after it died. Niu Lang obliged, and the shoes whisked him up to the heavens, along with his children. The Empress was outraged, and with a stroke of her hairpin across the sky, she formed the Yin He, or the Milky Way, which separated the lovers. Feeling sympathy for the lovers, magpies formed a bridge, the Chue Qiao, across the Milky Way, so that the lovers could unite. Even the Empress was touched by this. So, even though 一般他们在银河两边, the Empress made 七夕 a special day and said that 每年他们可以在鹊桥上见面. Okay, back to you, Rachel.
And the tradition is for the women to make little lamps and then usually write something like a wish for love. And then they light the lantern and send it out into the water. But it can't just be any water. It has to be special water. So, we are here at Hohai to watch the sending out of the lanterns.
As Rachel mentioned, sending out a lantern into the water, or 放花灯, is very popular. Girls will 为了爱许愿, 为了丈夫许愿, or 为了孩子许愿. Also popular at Hohai is the sending of lanterns up to the heavens to wish for 幸运, whether it be for a new job, a recently married couple, or the birth of a child. While the Western customs of buying flowers and chocolates have gained popularity amongst the Chinese youth, let's hope that the traditions of Qi Xi Jie live on.
Okay, so these 2 videos that we just watched are about how people celebrate Chinese Lovers' Day. And secondly, the last video also asked a very good question to Chinese, and I will ask it to Avarsi too. Now that St. Valentine's Day is becoming more and more popular, do people still celebrate Chinese Lovers' Day? So I'll ask Avarsi, which one does she celebrate? Valentine's Day on February 14 or Chinese Lovers' Day?
Personally, I don't know much about how people celebrate it, like which one they choose. But based on my family, my father and mother, and they have been married for 25 years, and they celebrate it sometimes at Chinese Lovers' Day. But most young people, like teenagers, they celebrate it on Valentine's Day, the Western Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Avarsi. Which one would you say is more popular?
I think the one that is more popular will be Valentine's Day, the Western Valentine's, which is on February, because I have seen lots of commercial and chocolates commercial, and everything relates to that. So people tend to celebrate that more than Chinese Lovers' Day.
Okay. Thank you, Avarsi. And as a Westerner living in Taiwan, I do see that the Western culture is becoming more and more popular. Yet I also feel that it's sad that they also need to retain their own people's culture. And so that's my own opinion. Okay. Now, as I've told you the legend, and you've seen many, many variations of the legend is behind the Chinese Lovers' Day is similar to some stories that we know of in Western culture. For example, the story of St. Valentine's. We can compare the legend behind Chinese Lovers' Day to the story of St. Valentine. Even Cupid may have a story, so we can compare those two. Also, the famous story written by Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, is very similar to the legend behind Chinese Lovers' Day in the fact that Romeo and Juliet are literally star-crossed lovers. And one is a more pop culture reference. Recently in the movie Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, these two characters, Will and Elizabeth, they marry, and throughout the course of the movie, Will is fighting and his heart is taken and is put in dead man's chest. So he has the job, the job of saving the people who die at sea. And because of that position between the two worlds, between Earth and between the eternal world, he can only come to Earth once every 10 years. So that story between Will and Elizabeth is also similar to Niu Lang and Zhi. So I encourage you now to compare all four of these stories. And with that, this lesson about Chinese Lovers' Day, it has finished, and I wish you the best Chinese Lovers' Day. For your reference, these are also other videos for you to watch in your own time. Thank you.
Happy Chinese Valentine's Day!
We have a Valentine's Day?
Yep, it's called Qixi Festival. It's on the 7th day of the 7th month on the lunar calendar. It's also known as the Magpie Festival sometimes.
Ooh, pies.
Not pies, magpies.
Yeah, I know. But what do these birds have to do with Valentine's?
Well, it goes back to the ancient Chinese legend when a beautiful weaver girl, Zhi, who's actually a goddess, went out to play in the human realm and met a human cowherder called Niu Lang and fell in love. They married and had 2 kids. When Zhi's grandmother, the Queen Mother of the Heaven, Wang Wu Niangyang, found out, she wasn't too happy.
Are mother-in-laws ever happy?
The Queen Mother-in-law was so pissed that Zhi married a mere mortal that she scratched a wide river in the sky with a hairpin and separated the two, thus forming the Milky Way between the stars Altair, which is Niu Lang, and Vega, which is Zhi. Zhi must sit forever on one side of the river, weaving her loom, while Niu Lang watches her from afar while taking care of their 2 children. The two were so sad they cried continuously. The magpies in the sky pitied them so much that they form a bridge once a year so the star-crossed lovers can see each other.
So they like step on birds? Aren't they too heavy for birds? I mean, maybe the weaver goddess lady, because she's light, because maybe she's a goddess. But the cowherder guy is definitely gonna kill some birds.
Dan, it's a story. Gosh, can't you just be a bit romantic?
I can be romantic. Want me to prove it?
No, not really.
Wait, if it's Chinese Valentine's Day, shouldn't Chinese people go out on dates?
Well, traditionally on this day, young girls will have needlework competitions or burn papers and items and offerings to the weaver girl. Single and newlywed women all celebrate the festival and make offerings.
So there's no chocolates, dating, or kissing? I think I prefer the American Valentine's.
Well, this year in 2013, Qixi is on August 13th. And if you're watching in 2014, August 2nd. And August 20th if you're watching in 2015.
Hey, Carmen, would you
No.
be you?
No.